furious world leaders are just sticking the dagger right into Donald Trump. They're declaring there is a new world order where Donald Trump and America are weak and other nations will stand up strongly against the United States. Canada, they tried to be nice. France, they tried to be nice. Germany, they tried to be nice. No more Mr. Nice guys and gals in terms of the leaders from these countries, from the leader of the European Union, the Commission President von der Leyen and others. And they are just saying, we're done with this crap. And you have French President Emmanuel Macron flanked by his military giving a powerful speech and says, we will be strong. We will be feared. And that's what we're going to be. That's what you want us to be. We will make sure that we show you how weak you are, Donald Trump. And then he says, we are putting our troops, we are putting our forces in Greenland to stop what the United States is doing. We're going to stand up for democracies. Then you had the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney. He's been in China. He met with the premier and then he met with the President Xi Jinping. And he described a new world order is forming, and it's about multilateralism, new trading partners, a weaker America, and other countries asserting themselves. And it was just so fascinating to me. And I'm going to tie this all together for you because I don't think you're seeing these clips and what's going on in lots of other corporate news. But then in the United Nations, there was an emergency Security Council meeting. It was basically called by the United States regarding the United States claim that it was going to take action in Iran, and then the United States backed down, even though Donald Trump told the people of Iran back on January 2nd, we're going to come in guns a-blazing if the Ayatollah even kills one protester. So go out there, protest, we got your back. And then Donald Trump didn't have their back, and there was mass slaughter taking place in Iran. But the U.S. called this meeting in the United Nations Security Council, and all the other countries are looking at the United States like, aren't y'all the people who just invaded Venezuela and you're threatening to invade Greenland? And what do you want us to do? You think we're your friends now? You got us mistaken. You're all alone, United States. And you see the United States delegation, they're all alone. And then you have the China ambassador to the United Nations, like doing a lecture to the United States about multilateralism. It's like a whole reversal of what you normally expect in the United Nations. So let's break this all down for you. First, I want to show you the French President Emmanuel Macron, and here in this powerful speech that he just delivered, flanked by the military, he talks about to remain free, we must be strong, we must assert ourselves, we must be brutal. Here, play this clip.
In order to stay free, it is necessary to be feared. To be feared, one must be powerful. And to be powerful in this brutal world, one must act faster and stronger. This requires the nation to make efforts equal to our harsh times. That is why I wanted, on July the 13th, to bring forward to the year 2027 the objective, originally scheduled for 2030, of reaching an annual budget of 64 billion euros for our defense. Thus, in the span of 2 presidential terms, the budget for the armed forces will have been effectively doubled. And we won't have been outmaneuvered by the decision of this or that person for convenience to please this or that ally. We will have taken the lead through our own decision, the analysis we made of the evolving threat, and by doing so, as I said very early on, our will to never submit.
More from French President Emmanuel Macron right here, saying the French troops are already in Greenland. More forces are incoming. And he also, in this speech, and I'm not going to show this other part of the clip, where he talked about doing air defense systems. And he goes, our systems are better than the United States Patriot systems. And we're thinking about giving Greenland all of those in the event of an American invasion. Here, play this clip.
In Greenland, an autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark, Europeans have a particular responsibility, because this territory belongs to the European Union and is also that of one of our NATO allies. France has decided to join the exercise that was scheduled and launched by Denmark in a sovereign and independent manner, as part of Arctic endurance. A first team of French soldiers is already on site and will be reinforced in the coming days by land, air, and sea means. History does not forgive either unpreparedness or weakness. Our armed forces, and all our forces, including all support services in particular, are our life insurance. And nuclear deterrence, equally so, on which I will soon have the opportunity to speak again, is its keystone. All the efforts I have just mentioned, and those we will continue to make, contribute to making us ready and equal to the dangers.
En particulier pour le sergent Jimmy Gosselin, parce que nous avons tout pour cela.
Just should be noted as well that while Greenland makes it very clear that they're, and Denmark, that the bright line is that, you know, they would have been willing to negotiate with the United States, but they will never surrender their sovereignty, that the United States was telling the New York Times and others, no, we actually are still discussing acquiring Greenland and Denmark because they're predators. Because the United States is a predator regime, and that's just what they do. They don't say, they're saying, you have Greenland and Denmark saying no, and the US is like, what does no mean? We're not doing that. Let's go to Beijing. This is big. Big, 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 especially for those who follow Midas Canada, and for all the Midas Maple out there, you know how big this is right here. You have Carney meeting Xi Jinping, the first time a Canadian Prime Minister has met with the leader of China in basically close to a decade. You see them right there, shaking hands. They had met a few months back at a sideline at one of those meetings in Asia. And then they plan this meeting right here. So first I want to share with you, this was the meeting between Carney and Xi Jinping. And I just want you to watch the respect, the ode towards multilateralism, cooperation. Play this clip of Carney right here.
Thank you, President Xi, for your hospitality, for the warm welcome that's been extended to this delegation, and for the opportunity that our partnership brings to both our peoples, and I would suggest as well to the world.
Now, in the second clip of Carney, he talks and articulates how the Canadian-Chinese relationship will be mutually beneficial. Play this clip.
I'm extremely pleased that we are moving ahead with our new strategic partnership. A partnership that is founded on 5 pillars. Will not only deepen our bilateral ties to the benefit of our peoples, but will also, in my judgment, help improve the multilateral system, a system that in recent years has become under great strain. We're focusing on areas where we can make historic gains in agriculture, in energy, in finance. That's where we can make the most immediate progress. But that progress, in our judgment, will be multiplied by the welcome expansion of our cultural and people-to-people ties. 20 years ago, great steward of the Canada-China relationship, then Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, said of our partnership, and I quote, "Nations feel most secure when they see countless connections between them to work to their mutual advantage, and it's that engagement that builds true peace and security." Today, decades on, these principles are the foundation of our new strategic partnership. Mr. President, together we can build on the best of what this relationship has been in the past to create a new one, adapted to new global realities that will deliver stability, security, and prosperity to our peoples on both sides of the Pacific. Thank you very much.
Now, here's what I think is going to happen. Maple Midas, you know. Chinese EVs. I think Canada's going to open up that market. Canadian canola going into China. China buying a ton of Canada's oil, especially as they now may diversify away from Venezuela. Like while Donald Trump is setting up bank accounts in Qatar, potentially for himself to move Venezuelan oil money to Qatar, you have, again, Canada pursuing its interest, China pursuing its interest, Donald Trump pursuing his personal financial gain and screwing the United States. So you played that clip of Carney. And then you have Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping uses the words, "We want to foster a healthy, stable world order." Play this clip.
I am very pleased to meet you again. Last October, we met in Gyeongju, the Republic of Korea. It was a very good meeting. That meeting, I believe, marked a turnaround in the China-Canada relations and placed it on an upward trajectory. In the past couple of months, the agencies of our two countries have engaged in deep discussions on resuming and restarting cooperation across the board and produced positive results. I am heartened by the progress. This is your first visit to China as Prime Minister, and the first visit to China by a Canadian Prime Minister in more than 8 years. A healthy and stable China-Canada relationship serves the common interest of our two countries. It is also good for the peace, stability, and prosperity of the world. I am ready to continue working with you with a sense of responsibility for the history, for the people, and for the world, to further advance the relationship in a positive direction and bring it on a track of healthy, steady, and sustainable development for the benefit of the people of both countries. Thank you, Prime Minister.
And then before that meeting, you had Carney meeting with the Chinese Premier Li Qiang. And he says there is a new world order that's forming, and we are focused on this new world order. Listen to Carney right here. Play this clip.
As you mentioned, mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. It's a partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose. And I look forward to realizing its promise and building on it in the years to come. A partnership that leverages our strengths to create greater stability, security, sustainability, and prosperity for all our peoples. And I look forward to this working session to advance those objectives. Thank you very much. Sheshe.
More from Prime Minister Carney right here at that meeting. Let's play this clip.
Just 6 weeks after my government was elected in the spring of last year, you and I spoke on the telephone. And that conversation, one of respect and openness, created the pathway for our meeting in New York on the margins of UNGA. And the progress we made there created the opportunity for me to meet with President Xi Jinping. Under your leadership and the President Xi's leadership, our teams have worked hard in the subsequent weeks and months to address some specific issues that had built up over time, but more than that, to put in place the foundation for the new strategic partnership between our countries. I'm deeply grateful, my colleagues are deeply grateful for that commitment and the spirit of that commitment, one of respect, frank exchange, purpose, and progress. After all, the relationship between our countries is historic it's complementary, and it's deeply personal for so many Canadians.
And here's what Premier Li Qing had to say. Here, play this clip.
I'm very happy to receive you, Prime Minister Carney, here in Beijing. First of all, a very warm welcome to you on your visit to China. I still remember in September last year, we jointly attended ONGA, and on the sideline of the General Assembly, we had a very good talk. I still recall your words on being pragmatic and being cooperative to work with China to help our relationship overcome obstacles and move forward. In October last year, President Xi Jinping and you had a meeting in Gyeongju, DROK, and our relationship has achieved a turnaround on its 55th anniversary. This has been widely welcomed by all sectors of our two countries. The past and the present have repeatedly proven that the sound and the stable development of our relationship is in the interest of both our two countries. Mr. Prime Minister, your visit this time falls on the start of a new year. It is also the first visit by a Canadian Prime Minister after some 8+ years. President Xi Jinping tomorrow will have a meeting with you, which will further point the way forward for the steady and upward growth of this relationship. Standing on a new starting point, China is ready to work with Canada to increase dialogue and communication, enhance political mutual trust, expand practical cooperation, work for more new outcomes so as to add more vigor for the growth of our two countries. I'm ready to exchange views with you on issues of shared interest and do so in a frank manner. Thank you.
Now, as I mentioned, there was parallel tracks taking place. So while you have Prime Minister Carney meeting in Beijing with China, you have this emergency United Nations meeting taking place. And there you have the Chinese ambassador to the United Nations. Here he speaks about the United States' constant threats and bullying. And you have China as the one invoking the UN Charter, collaboration, it's a role reversal of what we're used to, and the United States found itself all alone at this United Nations meeting. Watch for yourself. Play this clip.
Recent developments in Iran have drawn widespread attention. China has taken note of the description thereof provided by the Iranian Foreign Minister in his letter to the UN Secretary General. For some time now, the United States has continued to make statements on the situation in Iran and has openly issued threats of the use of force against Iran. As a result, clouds of war are gathering over the Middle East and the tensions in the region continue to escalate. China has always advocated adherence to the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and international law. We oppose the use or threat of force in international relations, oppose imposing one's will upon other countries, and oppose any regression of the world to the law of the jungle. Sovereign equality and non-interference in internal affairs are basic principles of international law and the most fundamental norms governing modern international relations. Iran is an independent sovereign state. Iran's affairs should be decided independently by the Iranian people. China supports safeguarding Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, and calls on the international community to support the Iranian government and people in overcoming current difficulties and in maintaining national security and social stability. The use of force can never solve problems. It will only make them more complex and intractable. Any military adventurism would only push the region toward an unpredictable abyss. We urge the United States to abide by the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, abandon its fixation on the use of force, and call on all parties to exercise restraint and work together to play their due role in maintaining international peace and security. At present, the Middle East remains the most fragile region in the global security landscape, with the risks of turmoil and conflict persistently high. The people of the region have a strong desire for peace and development. China has noted the grave concerns expressed by the vast majority of regional countries regarding military confrontation, as well as their sincere expectation for resolving disputes peacefully through dialogue. China hopes that the United States and other relevant parties will take seriously the voices of the international community and regional countries and do more for peace and stability in the Middle East, rather than the opposite. All countries should play a constructive role in promoting peace and ending conflicts, avoid exacerbating tensions, and refrain from adding fuel to the fire. President, peace and development are the shared aspirations of all peoples. History has repeatedly proven that an obsession with force, relentless pressure, and wanton interference only generate more conflict and hatred. No country has the power to dictate the future of another, and no action that defies international law can be tolerated. We call on the international community to stand on the right side of history and on the side of fairness and justice, and work tirelessly for peace and stability in the Middle East and peace and tranquility in the world. Thank you, President.
I thank the representative of China for the statement.
Well, there you have it, folks. Big shifts happening. Oh, and by the way, Prime Minister Carney says, thank you, Chairman Zhao Leji, for the constructive meeting in Beijing. Canada and China have long-standing relationships and opportunities for both people of our countries. In a more divided, uncertain world, we're focused on renewing that relationship and building toward a stronger future. Canada exports over $30 billion in goods and services to China every year. More than 400,000 careers in Canada are supported by this trade relationship. Here in Beijing, I'm meeting with government and business leaders because we want to build on that, opening up new markets and creating new opportunities for Canadian workers and businesses. I'll just say this. Canada chose wisely in their leader. Smart, diplomatic, savvy. Just think about the contrast. Y'all got Carney, the banker, the central banker who saved economies over time, while in the United States, we got the bankrupter, the sexual predator, the despicable, vile, whatever he is in the Oval Office. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks so much for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.